Hi, this is the Tax Chica and my name is Ana Lantigua. I am a CPA with over 20 years of experience, and today I am going to be teaching you about Form W9. Who needs it? Why is someone asking you for it? And so forth. So I hope that you put your comments below. Who's asking you for this form? And if you have any specific questions so that I can answer them for you. And now we're going to the computer. Okay, so now we are at the computer. You're going to go to the search engine and you're going to type W9. And once you type W9, the first one that shows up for me is IRS.gov website. But you have to be real careful because sometimes you get an ad. And if you click on that, they're going to try to sell you something. So make sure that you click on IRS.gov website. Once we click on the form, now we can see that the form doesn't really have a lot to fill out. So point number one is the name of the company, how it appears on your tax return. So if you file an individual tax return, the first, it would be your name. But if you file a company tax return, then it would be your company. How are you doing business? Number two would be a doing business as or a fictitious name. And don't worry, I'm going to give you plenty of examples. Well, if you're learning something so far, press that like. Now, Tax Chica, what is the number one question you get? The number one question I get is, what happens if I don't fill out this W9 that I'm being requested? So stay to the end so I will answer that number one question. Thank you. Now, in point number three, you're going to check the box of how you report the income on your tax return for your business. If you're reporting as an individual person, self-employed, you would check box number 1. If you are a C Corp, box number 2. A S Corporation, box number 3. A partnership, box number 4. Trust and estate. A limited liability company has a little section of its own, because a limited liability company can be a C Corporation, an S Corporation, or a partnership. Most limited liabilities companies start as a partnership. Number 5 and 6 have to be your address, so you would enter your address. Number 7 is optional. This form can also be requested by a bank. So if you have an account number, your account number will be in this box. Now, this section here, requester's name and address, is optional, but in some cases, this section is filled out. Part 1 is the taxpayer identification number. Over here, you're going to enter your social security number. If you're self-employed and you do not have a company, you would be entering your social security number. Over here, you would be entering your employer identification number. If you have a company, do not enter your social security number. However, if you are foreign, this is not the form for you to fill out. You would be filling out a W8 BEN. And finally, part 2 is the certification. You're going to be signing and certifying that the information above is accurate. Number 4 here has to do with exemptions. So you would know if you are exempt based on your company. This does not apply to many people. It's more for when the banks ask for this form. Well, that was the first part. And if you've learned something so far, press that like button. Now, on the second part, I'm going to show you what the form looks like filled out based on the type of company you have. So continue to the end so that you can see all the different ways this form can be completed. And now I'm going to give you examples. So example number 1, Pedro Martinez is a self-employed individual, so he would enter his name as it appears on his tax return on box 1. In box 2, he leaves it blank. In box 3, he would check the first box for individual taxpayer. 5 and 6, he would enter his address. Box 7 would be blank. And the requester's name is in this section, and ABC Realty Inc. is requesting this from Pedro Martinez. In part 1 down here, he is going to enter his social, and finally he is going to sign certifying that the information he put above is correct and accurate. If you learned something, smash that like. Example number 2. Now, Mr. Martinez does business as, has a fictitious name, Best Pull Service. So he would put in box number 1, Pedro Martinez, because he files his tax return as Pedro Martinez, but he is doing business as Best Pull Service. He does not have a company. He may have this name registered with the Department of Business as a fictitious name. Part 3, he is still an individual because this is not a legal company. In 5 and 6, he's going to enter his address. ABC Realty is requesting this form from him. In part 1, taxpayer identification number, he is going to be entering his social security number, and finally he is going to certify that the information above is accurate. The number 1 question that I get is, what happens if I don't fill out a W9? Well, what can happen is that person that is paying you can do a withhold some of your money because they don't have your tax identification number. And how much is that withholding? It's 28% of your money. So if they're paying you $100, they're going to withhold $28. So it's very important that you fill out the form correctly, that you give them the tax ID number that applies. And I hope this information was very valuable to you, and you press that like button and comment below. Example number 3. Mr. Martinez owns Pull Service USA LLC. He files a tax return for Pull Service LLC. However, the LLC is a disregarded entity, so he is still filing as a single member LLC, so he would be checking this box. And in some cases, people say, well, why wouldn't you put the name on box 2? If you see here, if different from above, box 1 must always have a name. Box 2 only if required, if it applies. 5 and 6, the address. But in this case, Mr. Martinez has left this box open and available so that he can provide this form for any new business contracts that he acquires. And part 1, he's going to enter his company's tax identification number, known as the employer identification number. And finally, he's going to sign and certify that the information above is correct. So now we are in example number 4. Full Service USA LLC. But in this situation, the limited liability company has more than one member, more than one owner. So therefore, it is a partnership. He files a partnership tax return. So he is checking this box and entering letter P for partnership. He's still entering 5 and 6 for his address. He's leaving this section available so that he can provide this form to whoever requested from him upon getting new business. He is going to put his employer identification number here in part 1. And finally, he is going to sign in part 2, certifying that the information above is accurate. Example number 5. Now we have Full Service USA Inc. This has changed from prior examples. It's an Inc., I-N-C. When you see this at the end of a company, that company is either a C corporation or an S corporation. All companies, incorporations, start as a C corporation, but they can ask for permission to be treated as a small corporation, S corporation. In this case, Mr. Martinez has a small corporation, an S corp, and he's going to enter 5 and 6, his address, and the requester in this situation is ABC Realty, and he is entering his tax employer identification number here. And finally, he is signing off on the form, filing at the end of the year forms, tax forms. Hi, thank you for being here with the Tax Chica and learning about the W9. If there is anything else you want to learn about finances, taxes, making money, investing, please leave your comments below so that I can make a video on your topic. I'm also putting a video right here, same information in Spanish, just in case you need it. And right here is a video on investing with the Robinhood app. I want you to comment below if you like, thumbs up if you learned something, and thank you so much. And from my heart, it gives me great joy that you're here with me. And I gotta go now because my phone is ringing, and I send you a kiss.